Construction Coach here. Today I'm going to take a first look at L'Outil Parfait's roll cut. The roll cut is the fastest way to lay jointing tape in the drywall finishing process. So let's take a look. Check out how fast and easy it dispenses tape and so mess-free. It only uses water to moisten the tape a little bit as you place it on top of the mud that you roll on the wall. Like all my other tools from L'Outil Parfait, it comes with a great carrying case and 2 handle extensions so I can reach up to 3 meters or 10 feet high. The roll cut is an effective addition to the OP process, an all-in-one concept from laying joint tape to finishing surfaces.
Now, one thing I like about the roll and cut is I've used the bazooka before, but it's really messy when you want to clean it up and fill it and everything. Now, this roll and cut, you're just adding water to moisten the paper and literally dragging it onto your tape or over top of your mud that you just rolled out. So this is a clean way. I could see this getting a little different. A little bit of mud on it. This is for your inside corner. This is quick and flip for your flat joints. With a squeeze of a trigger, it cuts. Look at that. It shears. So I'm gonna throw a roll of paper in the roll and cut and go show you guys how easy this thing is to dispense paper. All right, let's just demo this quick roll cut to see how good it works. I've got the paper all in it, and I think I have an understanding of how it's gonna work. I'm really liking how clean it is. Like I said, I pulled a roll out, take the water off of it, and I could just quit for the day, no problem. So let's roll out this flat area. Like, pretend I just put the mud on, and I'm coming up. Unbelievable. Look at how quick that is. I'm distributing the tape effortlessly. This is really going to be a time saver. I've got a super large room here, so I'll practice a few more to see if I can perfect it. This is how easy you would switch to do inside corners. Awesome. It just follows behind, presses it in the corner for you. And there's a couple extension handles so you can select your size, how long you need it. So basically I'm able to work from the ground level, getting up quite high with this roll cut. So quite a neat tool.
I'm about to start that large living room in a week or so. If interested in the OP process, follow along and view my progress at the cabin build so far. Construction Coach. Today I'm going to show you the tools I'm going to use to finish my drywall at my cabin build. I've got about 10,000 board feet of drywall to install throughout the various rooms in the cabin. We've got a lot of natural daylight in the cabin, so I really want to make sure that my drywall finishing is done to really good standards because I don't want to see any of the joints afterward. So I'm usually traditionally a hawk and trowel guy. I do a very good job of lots of basement projects and have always been able to take care of all deficiencies in drywall that I've come across. But I want to try to step up my game a little bit, making it more ergonomic to install the mud and the tape, just making it easier to apply. So I've chosen L'Outil Parfait, and what they are is a company out of France that makes skim blades and drywall trowels and all sorts of accessories to get it all done to upward standards. So here is their pamphlet, kind of goes through the setup of how to use the tools. It's really kind of an intriguing process because they're not going to apply the mud with the trowel. They apply the mud with a roller system that you use telescopic poles and different width rollers in different sets of, or different stages. So you follow along with the pamphlet here, follow along with me on site. We're going to start with our tape coat, and then we're going to get all the way up into our larger skim blades. And I'm going to take you guys all the way to a level 5 finish, which means instead of traditionally doing, 12 to 16 inch wide under tapers and 16 to 20 on your butts, I'll literally have a thin skim of mud over the whole wall. And I'll show you which tools I'm going to use to get that done.
Wow, these walls turned out great. So I finished sanding them down, and now this would be ready for primer in most applications. So I want to show you guys the level 5 finish, so that's what I'm gonna do next, but I want to show you kind of like what most houses and basement developments are finished up like. Now this would be a perfect ready to go situation. I'll prime the wall, then I'll do all my spot checks, go from there and spot prime those patches and then finish the wall. Now with a level 5 finish, there is going to be a difference between how the paper paints in comparison to how the mud paints. So to do a level 5, I'm going to apply the thin layer of mud across the whole wall, and I'm going to skim it out. So I'm taking this just one step further to show you guys kind of what the big deal is with these skim blades and what they can really do. They were super effective for doing a basic taping job, but what they're really made for is doing level 5 finishes or skimming large sections of repaired ceilings or doorways that have been filled in with drywall. So very handy tools. Now let's get going with the level 5 finish. I've got a really wet mud. A lot of guys can also spray the mud, have another guy come behind and trowel. I'm gonna do it a little differently. I wish I had a second person because I'll get them ahead rolling. But what I'll probably do is I'm gonna start in the center here and work my way to the wall. And I'll work my way this way. And I'm gonna skim down and skim up, see how that looks. And then I might have to skim side to side. One key thing here is I do not want the drywall mud to dry before I hit it with the trowel. So it's really gonna be dependent to your temperature and how fast your mud is drying and how much you can spread out before you need to skip. So let's take a look. Very excited to show you a level 5 finish. that's gonna be the end of our video. And if you wanna see what happens in this cabin build and the rest of these rooms, you gotta stay tuned. In this room in particular, I've got a large entertainment center building going here. I've got all wood paneling for the ceiling here. That's why there's no drywall up here. And I've got a bench that basically goes from here all the way around this entire room, creating literally like 40 feet of seating to watch a big screen game over here or watch us play some pool and just enjoy ourselves. So if you want to see how this room finishes, check out the rest of the build. Construction Coach. That was the fastest taping process that I've ever went through. The OP process is the fastest way to tape and finish drywall. This is ready for paint and barely any sanding necessary, but I'm about to take it to a level 5 finish by putting a full skim across the entire wall and blading it all super thin with the skim blade. So follow along with me. I show you the entire OP process for this room. It's a 600 square foot bedroom. We're not going into the washroom. I've got some different plans for in there, a lot of tile and stuff. So we're mostly focused on the bedroom. And I'm gonna take you through the entire OP process using the L'Outil Parfait skim blades, rollers, and telescopic poles. So let's go. If you want to learn more about L'Outil Parfait before we get started, click the link on the right here, and this is a full demonstration of the tools that I'm about to show you how to use. Before I started my tape coat, I went through and did my screw holes once and did pre-fills on larger and damaged areas. Now, taping seemed pretty well the same as when I used to use hawk and trowel, except I'm really starting to like these telescopic poles so you don't have to get as close to the wall. And one thing, when I get to the ceilings, you'll understand why I really love L'Outil Parfait and the telescopic poles. They save me so much time. Whoa, those are looking nice and flat, and I'm able to blade them down so smooth and tight to the wall and clean up everything perfectly. Huge time saver. So that joint's about 9 feet above my head, but this next joint, it's like 12, and I think it's about 14'8" to the peak in the vault there. So wow, what a time saver just to be able to roll on the mud from down low and not distribute it from my hawk to my trowel to my wall. It's unbelievable. And literally no drip marks or drips come down. I find if you leave your mud a little too long, it'll get kind of sticky where when you roll over it, it wants to pull off the wall on its own. That's when you need a remix.
I don't really put too much water into my mud. I really make sure that it stays at that like perfect consistency right before it starts gluing up, and if it gets away from that consistency, I just go over to my mixer, give it a quick little whip up at the top of the pail, and then use it again until I get to a little bit more stiffer mud, and just kind of keep going through that process. Got the tape coat complete, except for where the wall meets the ceiling. That's an off angle, so the paper tape is not what I use there. And the vault, that's not what I use there either. I use what's called no coat, and it's a little more rigid and makes you stick your straight lines rather than paper that allows you to manipulate and follows the wall. So you got to use no coat. I don't really get into that, but I just wanted to make sure that you guys know that on off angles you don't use paper tapes.
All right, last day we finished all of our flats, so that was the taper and butt joints, but I left all the inside corners because I find it hard sometimes to control not wrecking these tapes doing the corners. So I like to get all my flats done, and then I'll move along to the corners, and then I'll go along to like the no coat stuff for the vault and off angles that aren't completely 90. So at the top here, where it's not a 90 degree, I got a different type paper for that. But for these inside corners, I'm just gonna use the regular paper tape, fold it in half, and gonna use my roll-on system. Got the inside corner foam roller on, so I'm gonna show you guys how that works. Okay. That is so much faster than loading the corner by hand with the hand trowel, having to spread it on both sides. So I'm definitely happy with that. If you're rolling, go on quite thick because you don't want to have it too thin behind the paper. Now, when I'm mudding and taping and I'm just using hand trowels, this is one tricky point where the paper's still very, very dry. That's why when I'm rolling things, I like to go back on top and really press the paper into the corner and moisten the top. Moistening the top of the paper makes it so much easier to work on.
Just rolling out the hip with some mud. Here's that no coat. So you can just thinly coat or no coat over top of it and paint looks perfect. And it's just rigid enough to keep that hip line so straight.
All right, so I've got my tape coat complete. You can see all my inside corners, taper joints, and butt joints are all taped. I was using the small roller and small trowel to apply that, and a lot of my hand trowel to do the inside corners. I like to spend a little extra time on that. Now, today I'm gonna use the next size up roller
and a 12-inch trowel to fill the taper joints. On butt joints, I'm gonna go double wide. And I'm gonna try to do things, I'm feeling a little more comfortable with the trowels, so I'm gonna try to double up in areas. So normally I would do my tapers and then let those dry and then come back and do my butts. Today, because I wanna speed things up, I'm gonna try to get them both done at the same time. I find that you'll have a few more deficiencies on your skims, but it's sometimes better to just get a little bit further, fix those with sanding, and then apply that next coat faster. So I'm really gonna try to speed things up in here now that I'm getting comfortable with the trowels. I'm gonna try to get as many of my inside corners done today as well. So areas like that one where it's not gonna interfere, I'll get that done today. I'll try to get some of the ones done on the ceiling that aren't interfering with butt joints or taper joints. So I've got my mud mixed up. I'm not gonna use a paint tray this time. I'm gonna try to just roll my roller right into the pail, eliminate bringing the tray around everywhere. My mud is mixed pretty wet. But again, you don't want to apply too much water to your mud because that's what causes the shrink back. So the more natural or more firm you can leave your mud, the better it's going to be for shrinking back. I find with these trowels that that's the one thing I enjoy about them is you're really able to press the mud down. So you can use less water to skim rather than having to thin it way out so you could spread it thin. You're able to really flex down on the trowels. Long story short, I'm gonna get started here. I'll probably do all this side here and then switch camera angle, get up on this side and go up into the loft. And then tomorrow we'll do it all over again.
Taper joints, I do one wide roll down the center and skim it down. And on butt joints, I line up with the tape and do one on each side to technically do the fill on each side of the tape that's slightly protruded off the wall. So that's the idea of mudding and taping. And as you watch it dry, you're gonna see the tape reappear in the center of the butt joints and the fills will look wet until they dry completely, which will go completely white. But then the next day when I skim again, I'm doing the same thing. I'm just gonna glide off the top where the tape is and fill the area a little further, and that's how you hide the joints. So anyways, it's fun to watch it go dry because you don't generally get to see that process.
All right, this is looking great. You saw how easy it was with the telescopic trowels to get the ceiling done. Now, I've got some ridges there and some areas where the butts meet the tapers where I'm gonna have to sand off a little bit before I get the next coat on. But I was really able to take care of this end very fast, and the ceiling work, man, if I had to get on stilts or on a scaffolding, that would have taken much longer. So now I'm gonna take you guys from over there, probably set up the camera on this end, shoot it up that way, get the rest of my tapers and butts done in that view.
All right, here's a quick walkthrough of finishing first coat over tapers and butts. And look at the fills, just exactly what I was saying. The white line is where the tape is, where the thinner mud would be, and the fills are down the side. So you can see that these blades are doing it nice and straight and keeping it perfect. Here I'm up in the cuddle loft. Kind of a neat area, very hard to finish. I do understand now that when you do these odd little areas, they do cause a lot of time because of how hard it is to work in them. Even just insulating, getting the drywall in there was quite the task. We are ending first coat and getting into second, so with some sanding. Now I'm going to jump the roller size and the skim blade to my 24-inch large skim blade to apply the second coat over all tapers and butts. Now that is smooth. Like, look at how flat that mud appears to be on the wall, and there's no hiding that. I could never get it that smooth with my Hawken trowel. I would always have some sort of trowel lines in there. Shrink back on this butt joint from yesterday. So the first widening, it's shrunk way back in the fill area. And that's why you have to keep going at these butts until you got it filled and shrink back and filled and shrink back. back up in the cuddle loft here. It's nice that I can take the skim blades off of the telescopic pulls, so when I want to use them by hand, I can just get them off their telescopic pulls with ease. A couple of clicks and you're free. Breakdown. Now check these fills. They're drying so nicely, and you can tell that they're so thin just because of the way that they are drying. On my taper joints, I'm probably almost good after the second coat, but on butt joints, I'll have to revisit them all one more time just to get them perfect. And this is where most guys would leave the project and not go to that level 5, but I'm going to show you how to take it to the next level. Level 5, baby.
Alright, so I finished second coat on all my joints. So what I'm going to do now is take my 24-inch skim blade, and I like to set it right flat on the wall and check how well I've done. So after 2 coats on a taper joint, you literally are done. I just checked that one. It has a chance to shrink back the first time you fill it. It has a chance to shrink back the second time you fill it. It's good. But generally on butt joints, you need to do skims sometimes. So I was checking one over there where on the right side it needs another fill. It's showing a gap between here. But then on the left side of where the tape joint is, it's nice and flat. So I'll go over it one more time. If I am level 5 finishing, I skip this step sometimes because I can contour it when I do the full skim of the wall. So for video's sake and to show you guys, I'm gonna start by doing my inside corners today, and I'm probably gonna beef up the skims on my butt joints, rechecking all those. I'm gonna bring you in really close to the camera so you can see what I'm talking about the space. And that's why you wanna use a little bit less water and maybe these skim blades to smooth things out flatter, because when I was using hawk and trowel, I would really juice up the mud, but that's what causes the shrink back to happen. So using these skim blades does have another great benefit, in my opinion, is less water in the mud, which reduces the amount of shrink back. So in this room, if I was gonna just do level 4 finishing, I might just do a couple skims on these butt joints, do my inside corners, sand, and I'm ready for prime. So that's the advantage to the OP process. So I'm gonna start up here, do a couple skims. Mostly I'm worried about my inside corners. I'll fatten up some areas just to show you guys what I mean about doing the skims to get those butt joints flush. And then I'm gonna let this dry over the weekend. Then I'm gonna let this dry tonight. And tomorrow, I'm really gonna get up early and skim coat all my level 5 on these walls. And then when I come back after the weekend, it should have the weekend to dry. We'll sand her down and we'll show you how I did with the priming. Thanks for watching. I guess we could just do this. Very small fill. pretty flat. There's one that definitely needs a skim. See that? All right, so I'm doing my final skims. If I wasn't gonna go on to level 5, I would do this and give it a light sand and I should be ready for primer. Now, wow, what a great job that last skim does. I really put the mud on nice and thin and not take that much off. Like, you saw what I put on here, I barely took any of it off. So you can see it's a very, very thin skim. Just, it'll fill in exactly where it needs it. Don't take any off, just flatten it out, and then when you sand, you can bring it down to where you need it to. So, hope that's helpful. I'm gonna keep going in here so that tomorrow I will be able to level 5 my walls. So I've gotta get another coat on all my screws, flush up all my butts and tapers one more time, just to ensure that everything's perfect. So tonight all the corners and this will dry for sure, and I'll set up the fans, and then tomorrow morning I'll come in here and I'll start coating. I'll probably get just the lower section done. Don't know if I'll get the ceiling done, don't know if I'll get up into the cuddle loft until another time, but still progress, and this is looking great. Like,
Can't believe it, actually. Let's check it with the light too, just so you can see. I mean, this light tells all. You can see a little swoosh mark from when I reconnected with the skim blade, but look at the smoothness in this. There's another little thing, like one touch with the sanding block, one touch on this edge and a little in the field, and this is perfect. And let's see this. Got a few more sanding marks in here, but wow.
Here we go, level 5. So I've went through the walls and sanded off my light deficiencies, and now I'm rolling out the full wall with the large roller and using the skim blade to flatten a thin skim of mud on the entire wall. When I'm spreading out the mud with the roller, I'm only taking about 8 to 10 feet of a wall section at a time. I find that the mud will start drying up before you can get at it if you try to go any larger. I have seen other people doing the same process but spraying the mud. One person goes ahead with a Graco paint sprayer and sprays the mud right onto the wall, and then they come behind and skim blade it all out afterward. That seems really efficient, but I don't quite have the setup for that yet. I've got to let bedroom 2 dry before I can sand, but here I am in bedroom 1, sanding the wall with L'Outil Parfait's vacuum attachment sander and telescopic pole. I'm using light to really make sure that I can see everything that I am sanding, and once I'm done that, this wall is ready for a nice thick layer of primer.
Wow, this is the level 5 finish.
See how nice and flat it is? I was able to take my light and sand every imperfection out. So even if I had a ripple mark or a little indentation or like a honeycombing section, I was generally able to sand it right down. I'm saving the one vacuum bag that I'm using so that I can show you guys when I'm actually done every bit of level 5 in here, so that I can show you the amount of boxes of mud I used in comparison to how much I've resanded back off. But these walls I think are gonna paint the best I've ever painted on any wall. I literally can't see a defect at all. So I'm really excited to prime these walls. I'll probably put a quick coat on and then go through again and with my light and spot check everything. So like I said, I've been a hawk and trowel guy for about a decade. I really wanted to take it to the next level, which is level 5. So I got involved with the skim blades and a roller system to apply the mud, and I am never turning back. This is making my life easy. I used to hate when I primed the wall and you could still see all the joints through. Never mind that little feather down area. You can recall there was a big taper joint here. I'm not gonna see that feathered down area anywhere along this wall. So definitely a really, really good way to up your skills. I actually think that this is easier to DIY skim blading than hawk and trowel because you're able to go on a little thicker and then just come on through with the light sandpaper, flush everything back up. So really, really simple to do. Now I'm gonna prime these walls and show you how perfect they are. Today, I'm going to show you the fastest way to a level 5 finish. I'm in a little nursery room at my cabin where my new son, who is just about to be born, you can see I've got these walls pretty well mud and taped to almost perfection. If I was just going to do the standard finish, I'd probably give this a sand, give it one more light skim, do my inside corners. But I wanted to put a wallpaper on this wall and on this wall, and when I was in construction a long time ago, the vinyl guys would always say the walls need to be level 5 before you put the vinyl up. So I'm just going to take this one step further because I don't want to see any imperfections through the wallpaper when I'm finished here. Now check this skim blade out. This is from L'Outil Parfait. This is a 1 meter skim blade. For imperial people, that's 39 3/8 of an inch. I mean, look at this thing. So the fastest way to a level 5 finish for me, large roller, 1 meter or 39 3/8 skim blade. Like, look at this thing. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna spread out this wall and show you guys how I use the skim blade to flatten out the mud perfectly for the level 5 finish. It always takes a bit of mud to prime the roller. And someone asked me, oh, in one of my other demos, get some comments, someone said to me, well, how long does it take you to do a wall and set up and all this kind of stuff? But one thing is, this is the fastest setup that I know of. Like, I literally pull out the roller, smooth it out. And then if I got a phone call and I had to go somewhere else, I would literally clean the roller and pack it up and go.
Okay, see this wall? Got a nice even layer of mud all over it. Got my big skim blade. You can see I brought it up to the ceiling. I'm gonna clean that up a little bit, but my first goal is to kind of get it all flattened. Then I'll make sure I'm up into the corners and clean it up as best as possible. But this is what I'm working with. Doesn't that look really good? Got a little thin spot here, got a ridge here, another little ridge there, and something going on in the corner. Give her one more little smooth out, and I'll leave this wall to dry a little bit before I hit up on this one. Okay, this is looking great. It's starting to dry. Got a couple ridges to sand out, but generally speaking, got a nice even coat on the whole thing. I'm gonna get ready to start this one up. And when I'm doing level 5, my max section of wall is literally this. This wall is about 7 feet. I can go 7 to 9 feet with the rolling system. I really can't wait to start spraying mud. I've seen some guys in Europe that I follow that spray it on, and then they're using these 1 meter long blades. So that's really fast. That is really evenly laid on the wall. I'm gonna move this pail out of the way, start giving it some skims. All right, that's the 2 walls complete. You can see the ridges I've got. A light sanding is gonna take care of all that. These walls are looking perfect. If I wasn't in a little bit of a rush to get it going, I would really let one wall dry before I get into the corner. I might have a few touch-ups that I gotta do in there to sharpen it up. But basically, that's how fast it is to do a level 5 finish. Now I barely have any cleanup. My roller to clean up, clean the skim blade up. I can go hit the lake for a little bit, go for a hike. when I want to start up mudding and taping again, boom, open the pail, start it up. That's one thing I love about the skim blades over machine taping. The OP process has a taping machine that you don't put mud in, you put water in, so when you want to walk away from that, you don't even have to clean it. These skim blades are so easy to clean compared to boxes, so with the telescopic pulls and those features, I'm really falling in love with this OP process.